The book I read, well, this was a couple years ago, The Hate You Give. And I know, I kind of wish, because I know Tender is the Flesh and You Had Me at Hola is fairly new. I just figured with the current state of America, I feel like this was a book that really just is so relevant, and it's going to continue to be relevant. Angie Thomas is the author. I think she has a couple of books. I think one of them is on the come up, and I think she's probably in the process of writing some more, but this was the first book. I don't know, I'm not sure if this is her debut. I think it is, and if it is, wonderful. So The Hate You Give, obviously when you gotta put all the letters together, it's thug, right? This book is it's basically just about this girl Star. I believe she's 15 or 16 years old, and she witnesses her friend Khalil get shot by police, and it messes with her. It really messes with her. She goes to an all-white school, and then she goes back home to the hood, so she's kind of like in between worlds, so she's kind of too black for the white kids and too white for the black, you know what I mean? Earl Sweatshirt lyric. And and so she's just kind of stuck, and like that, it traumatized her. Like, this is what our black kids go through now. This is what we go through now. This is what we have to raise our children to understand and to be aware of. Like, the world is not going to be nice to people that look like us, and so she struggles with it. And of course the ending was, I mean, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but the officer that killed Khalil, he was able to, walk free. The trial, he wasn't charged with anything. He wasn't indicted on any of those murder charges, which is the same result that we get in real life. But I got very emotional at the end when she she did a speech. Like, she was, not that she was okay with it, but that she was like, I'm not going to stop fighting for justice. I'm not going to stop fighting for Khalil. And she said Sandra Bland and Philando Castile, and just said all these names, and I got hella emotional and I cried because I was like, yo, like I felt that pain, and I felt that like, yo, this shit gotta stop, so yeah, that was the book that I read, and that is just gonna remain relevant as long as things stay the same. So
I got goosebumps. The names, I was like, oh my gosh, because it really is real life. Like, it really is.
Yeah, I get like you said, you're concerned about talking about it today because it is an older book compared to me and Jasmine's book, but it's super relevant. Like, everything going on, like, this is a whole different type of conversation. It has to be brought up regardless, And
it's
sad because another black man was just shot for no reason a few days ago.
Just a few days ago. And you know what they had to do? They had to make it seem like, oh, well, he was, he's this criminal. He's this thug. So let's paint just him like today, this way.
I was just watching the news, and they try to justify the reason why he was shot 7 times in the back.
7 times in the back.
Was
nowhere does it.
He had a knife, and he had an officer in a headlock. Why was he shot 7 times in the back?
But they say that he had a knife in the car. Like, it was in the car. I was like, but how did they see it? Because clearly from the video, they shot him first. So where did you see it? Because it was clearly after the fact.
Right.
And his babies were in the car as well.
Right.
His kids were in the car.
You know how many people walk around with a knife nowadays? Like, that's the thing, is like, everybody walks around with a knife. Everyone has a little pocket knife. Mm-hmm. Anybody.
I have one that looks
black, white, whatever you want to be, they all have a knife, no matter what. So that's not an excuse to shoot somebody 7 times in the back.
Just can walk around with guns and like be okay. Like, one of them was at like a couple of them, there was like a whole fence lined with a bunch of people, anti-protesters, who just had a bunch of guns, and the cops were just sitting there like co-signing the If any one of them were black, it would have been a wrap. Everybody would have been hauled off to jail. Permits would have been searched, but because they're white, they get that little, oh, you can carry. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know you
like the George Floyd thing that bugs me a lot because y'all know I work at a bank. You know how many counterfeit bills I see regularly? This man was killed because of a counterfeit $20 bill, and every day I'm seeing a counterfeit bill handed to me at the bank. Are you telling me that's okay? How?
Like, regardless of whether or not he had counterfeit money, like nothing is gonna constitute murder. Like, that doesn't give anybody any sort of right to be like, well, you know what, I'm gonna be executioner first. And that's what it's always gonna be with people that look like us. It's always gonna be shoot first, ask questions later. Always. Exactly. To give a little bit of context for the book, so Star, she went to a party, and Khalil, like they were childhood friends, and there was such a cute little moment, like, not that they would be together, but like they were catching up, like how we would catch up, you know? And shots rang out, and so he's like, hey, come with me, like come with me, you'll be safe. And she went with him in his car. They get pulled over, and you know, he's being an asshole, the police officer, and so he gets out and he searches him, and he reaches in the car for his brush, and the cop got scary and shot him like 4 times.
Or brush. And I know they just made the movie. They made the movie with Amanda. What is her last name? Steinberg?
Yeah. That it was. I loved the adaptation. I thought they did a great job, and the cast was perfect. I thought they did a great job with the transition. Definitely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, but I'm glad you spoke about it because it's definitely a topic that's like, we all kind of brought up something political, you know? And I'm glad you brought this up because it's definitely relevant today. Like this, like
it's always on my mind. Like any new shooting, any new just racist violence against Black people. It's just we have to talk about it. Like Rob was just here, and we literally talked about like an hour just about just everything. Like it's just that's what we do. That's what Black people do. We have to sit and really like digest this shit over and over and over again. Like it really could be anybody.
This book itself is not a book just for Black people to be like, oh my God, this is what we go through. No. This is like a book that everybody should read to understand. Like, oh, this is the fight this is what Black Lives Matters means. You know what I mean? This is the fight that we're actually fighting. We're not saying your life is insignificant. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I should read that book. I'm gonna read it.
You should. I recommend it 100% because I definitely. I cried. I really did cry at the end. Like when all was said and done, you know, she goes and she starts protesting because she really is thinking like, yo, like she tried to just not be neutral, but she didn't really know what to do. You know, when she sees like the white kids at this all white school and how they were just so ignorant to what happened. You know,
so hard.
They were just so ignorant. When she just blacks. Like she's just like, yo, like, you know, she sees the true colors of her friends.
Right.
You know, because her friends start to act different.
Because you know, that's what's kind of going on now is like people are on social media, they're arguing all these points and facts, and now you're like seeing the true colors of your friends. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I didn't know.
Wow, that's how you really feel.
You attend Blue Lives Matter rallies. Like, I didn't know that. Like, we've been friends since fucking first grade. I didn't know you attend Blue Lives Matters rallies.
Anybody particular? You know? All of these issues bring out how people really think.
Right.
White people don't like to feel uncomfortable.
No.
They don't like to feel uncomfortable.
You know how many times we go to work, we go to class, we go to whatever, and we feel uncomfortable. It's time for you guys to feel the same discomfort. Uncomfort is not a word.
Period.
So it's like it's time for you guys to feel the same discomfort.
Even on Facebook, I be seeing like
she doesn't know how to, you know, like kind of address it.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
Because for me, it's like I'm mad, and I always think part of the reason why I'm so mad is because I'm from Haiti, and a little bit of me is like, I'm from an all-black country where, yeah, colorism exists, but the second, like, you're really trying to oppress a person for being black, that shit's not okay. Like, not in Haiti, like, that shit's no. Like, we're not doing that shit. So it's hard for me to, like, express how I feel about how it's happening here. It just
No, express it. Talk about it.
It just pushes
Whatever
buttons.
those feelings are.
So I get how she's feeling in the book. She doesn't know what to say because she grew up with these kids. This is her school. This is her home. She thought these people loved her, and maybe they do love her in particular. That black
Well, yeah,
girl.
like she.
But you know what I mean?
Right. I will say, Chris, the white boyfriend, he a writer.
You're right.
He's a writer.
Yeah,
He a writer. We love Chris. We do. He's a writer because you gotta read it. It's sad, you know, of course, and it's real, but it's good. Like, it's a genuinely good book. It's a very good book, and
Right.
I have no like cons about it. Like, there wasn't anything where I just like not one thing. It was so smooth. It was such a smooth bomb read, and I was emotional the whole time. Because I knew how this shit was gonna end. I knew how it was gonna end. I knew it wasn't gonna be no fairy tale. I knew it wasn't gonna be no fairy tale. I knew how exactly it was gonna end because it ends the same every time.
Yeah.
It ends the same every time. And so she was the witness, and you know she kind of remained anonymous, for the majority of the book, you know, until she was able to do the interview. Because at first, her father, very pro-black, you know. he, you know, it was really up to her whether or not she wanted to, you know, kind of testify. But he wasn't with it at first. He was just like, I really don't think you should. I really don't.
Right.
But she did. Of course, it didn't really make any matters better. But I think that she herself, like, she sees
the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. Thank you so much. But anyway, continue.
By the way,
By the way. Let's slide that tidbit in there. But yeah.
Yeah. So I really, so I'm sorry for being on the soapbox, but I really thought that, and I know there's so many books because I save them. I have like maybe 20 books that are that kind of genre, you know, like with police violence and racial injustice, from autobiographies to fiction, you know. I have so many saved, but this one stuck out to me just because.
And you know what kind of sucks is, okay, people may not be into reading. That movie didn't get as mainstream as something.
I agree.
You know, like, what is it? My Sister's Keeper. I don't know. That was just the first movie that popped into my head that was super white. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't get as mainstream and popularized like something that would if it was injustice towards a white little boy.
Right. Or if it was about slavery. If it was about slavery.
If it was about true slavery, you know what I mean? Like 12 years a slave. But like, it didn't get that, you know what I mean? And that was, so like, it sucks because like, even when it goes to something that where a larger audience would view it, because I know reading is for a particular subset of people, even like movies, everyone loves movies. It didn't even get the TV time, the trailers, you know what I mean? It didn't get what it should have got.
We recommend reading.
Yes, and then watch the movie.
All of you guys out there, read. Read. Reading is bomb, all right? Sorry, continue.
Andrew,
it's just sad because it's like, from the sounds of it, like, this is a book that I'm about to go get.
No,
I'm
you
about
definitely
to
should.
read it.
I wish I could like send it to you.
Download the movie, buy the movie from wherever I need to get it, and watch the movie because it seems like it's worth it.
I wish
that it's crazy because she wrote the book in 2017 and this resident and it's still relevant, and it's even worse because he's an idiot. But
we'll bleep it out, Gab.
All right, so I'm gonna butcher this name. Nicnevin and the Bloody Queen by Helen Mullane, Don Reardon, Matthew Doe Smith, and Jock and some other author. I'm sorry, I couldn't see the name. But it's a graphic novel about this girl. What's her name? Nissy. I'm gonna call her Nissy Oswald. She gets expelled from school for drugs and moves to like the north of England in Umberland, where these murders are taking place by this would-be druid who's trying to like summon ancient gods. I mean, it's pretty dope. The artwork is pretty dope. It's set in 2020. I like the British folklore mixed in with like modern day. What I don't like, and I'm gonna talk about this because it really bugs me, is that there's a relationship, not even a relationship, a whole like fantasized relationship between this 15-year-old and this 35 plus year old man. And it's like, it's the most. I hated it. I was like, what the fuck? So she had like a whole
so is it the 15-year-old girl romanticizing about like an older man, which is still inappropriate, but it's kind of better than the older man romanticizing about the little girl.
True, but she had like a whole, like, if it was just in fantasy, no, she'd be spending time with him. She thinks they're going on dates. Like, it's the whole thing.
What?
And she had like a whole, like, there's a whole sketch in the book, like, where she has like a whole masturbation scene, thinking about this, and, like, them two together having sex. It's like a whole thing, like. And I was like, I could have done without the visual. If she just thought she was in love, but she thought she was in love with this man, and he a whole killer, and you could tell from like the very beginning that he.
I mean, does he look like Chris Hemsworth or something like that?
You came in with does he look like Chris Hemsworth? That's better.
I said I'm just kidding, and we're gonna edit it out.
No, because now we gotta keep it.
We're not keeping it.
Up here thinking she in love, and it's like the most. Okay, so she's thinking she's in love. She's going on these dates with him, and he's taking her around, driving her everywhere. I'm like, don't we think this is weird? Like, okay, her mom's there, so her younger brother doesn't really, like, he's not really in it. He's not really detrimental to the story either. So he's just kind of there and like gone, so he don't really notice. But the mom seen him, and she like met him, and she's like, oh, okay. He came in the house and everything. And I'm like, don't we think this is odd that your like 15-year-old is hanging out with this like old enough to be her father? Don't we think this is like odd? Shouldn't we just stop this? But she don't say nothing to her. And another thing, I could tell this is written in another country, because in America, if I talked to my mother the way she talks to her mother, I would have got a beat down of my life. At one point, she was like, I was like,
she said what?
She said off to her mother. I would have passed away. Y'all would have been at my funeral. All right? The eulogy would have been like 2 sentences. Like, she said what she said, I did what I did. Like, it would have been
eulogy.
Rest in peace.
Bye, Gabs.
I don't like that. I didn't like it, because she kept like, she was just like one of those main characters. She just steadily made me upset, and I didn't like her at all. Like, I was like, I wanted to like her, but then her little infatuation with this dude, like to the point where she tried to like kiss him, and he was like, oh no.
Does it ever, like, I know this is gonna be a spoiler alert, but oh gosh, I gotta stop drinking that wine. But does it ever like dissipate? Like, does her infatuation with him like vanish? Hopefully, because like that's not okay. Like,
so there's a scene where they like go on a date. She's like picking her outfit or whatever. I call it a date because it's like an unofficial date, and in her mind, they're in love. He loves her, he likes her, like that's her boo. She's fantasizing about him, she's in it. Well, she tries to like she's like, I'm gonna have to make the first move. Like, It's crazy.
Is it a girl with an obsession, or is it like he's actually entertaining this child?
He's actually like entertaining it, but not for the reasons that she is. So like, he's entertaining. I think she's important. Like,
okay, you gotta continue now. I gotta hear more why he's entertaining it.
So he's taking her out places and talking to her about the history, and like, they don't really get into it. This is one of the things I don't like in the book too, is that it doesn't give enough. Like, I just constantly kept wanting more of the mythology. There's no world building. There's no like, building of the myth. Like, so you don't really know the importance of people just yet. Like, so we know she's important. We know she's like the granddaughter of a witch, and we kind of get like that she's a descendant of something bigger, but you don't really get the connection. So it's like, I don't know, it's like painting vague brushstroke. And okay. I like, to this point, I'm just like, what did I read? Why did I read this? And why didn't you give me more? I was pissed. So for him, he wants to like sacrifice 3 people to bring back the Fae. That part was very clear. He wanted to, like, he was sacrificing them at the altar. Like, they had this homegirl was like laid out naked. She had like some rocks, some twigs and shit like that, some Celtic symbols and runes, and I was like, okay, all right, I get this. I know it's a druid. Okay, all right, I see you. And then he was like slashing. You see this one girl, she's there and gone, and I knew she was gonna be a victim. I was like, you infatuated with too. I know you're gonna be next, Isabel. I felt bad for her, but you could just tell it was him. He just has that whole vibe. I said he shows up in places that he shouldn't be. There's like a whole, like, you can read into it and be like, all right, he's definitely the bad guy. I mean, if you don't get it, like, he wasn't paying attention. That's how bad it is. Like, it's just right there. But she tries to kiss him. It doesn't go well.
What happened?
She tries to kiss him on one of their little dates, and he's like, no, you're a maid. You're not meant for the weaker something of this world, the weaker ideals of this world, or something like that. And she was like,
so not that she was 15, but that's
okay. So that's part of like the mythology of it. There's like a triple goddess. There's the maid, the mother, and the crone that they keep talking about. I have no idea, but they keep talking about it. Like, okay. They don't give you enough to where I could connect it. I was like, I know the phase coming. I just don't know when.
Is it a series? Do you think there's going to be more to elaborate on it, or?
Yeah, I did. It is volume 1. Like, I did put that in my notes. Like, I'll give it like, okay, because it's volume 1, they probably just left it open. But there's so many holes. There are so many holes. Like, I was like, I can't, like, I don't know. I feel like there's gaps in my knowledge. Like, I didn't read a page.
But does it make you want to read, like, continue it?
It did. Like, through the whole thing, I wanted to read more because I wanted to see how it all, like, came together. Just,
right.
Never did volume 1.
Well,
honestly, it does sound interesting.
Are they books and then they were, like, turned into graphic novels? Or these are just strictly graphic novels?
I think they're just strictly graphic novels.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was surprised because it was, like, good. Online people were, like, raving about it, but, like,
you don't really see why.
Right, like, I don't see it. Like, I wanted to be interested in it, and I wanted to be interested in her, but you got an unlikable main character.
Right.
A weird-ass relationship between her and this, your killer, and then you got, like, her horrible relationship with her mother that I was like, I'm just waiting for the beating, and it never happened. And then she's her parents, both of them, the mom and the dad, and I'm just like... And then, the only person she's really nice to is the brother. I don't know if that's her, like, save the cat moment.
No, because it sounds super interesting. Like, I do want to, like, get into it, but, like, at the same time, I'm concerned. Like, I don't want to... Y'all know me in private, how I feel. But, like, I don't want to get into a book where I'm about to be, like, angry the whole time. Waiting for something to happen.
You gotta do it. You're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to. For like a decade, that has been your series. Like, every time I hear anything about Private, I think of you. You have to do a review of that. You have to.
That can't be done because I'm just angry. But, like, this book sounds really good. Because it sounds, like, odd. And I like things that are just like a little, makes you question life a little bit. But like, I don't know if I can get through it. Like, I don't know if I would be able to read the full like series. That's the thing.
That's the thing. It's like a really easy read. It's like so easy to get through that when you read it at the end though, you're just kind of like, what did I read and why is it so like unfulfilled, like unsatisfying? Like it's
Right.
like the overall feel to it was like I wanted to like it. There was a such bomb like artwork, scenes, details, like everything was great, like down to the spell work. I love the mythology of this. If they would have put it together for me to understand like how it all connects a little bit better, I probably would have loved it. It's like the spell work, everything's dope. The ritual, like this shit, even like the creep factor. I did not notice there was a body on page 1. I don't know how I missed it, but it was like I was so into the runes and so into what everything else was like, the translations, what everything was meaning, that I missed just lying on a slab. Like I was like
we don't know her purpose yet. Like you don't really know anything about why she's here. Like what?
You'll definitely have to do a review later on
volume
like
2.
Volume 2 or 3 or whatever it is, to like get readers to understand or know what's going on with this book, because it is interesting. Even though there's slight pedophilia in there, it is interesting. But I don't know if I can, with like for me personally, how I like books, I don't know if I can withstand something like this, because I would get upset.
I don't want to, I feel like I told a lot, but I don't want to give away the ending, but there is a surprise at the ending. I did not expect it. I will say that it completely, like, I was like, it was one of those things where I thought it was going to go a different way and it just didn't, and I was so mad.
Jealous girl.
Don't tell us. Don't tell us, because I'm going to read it now. Don't tell us. Don't tell us.
Y'all could edit it out.
Okay, tell us.
And so basically, last victim, because he kills like 2 people. So the last victim is the mom.
No.
She kills her mother?
She finds out, like, he comes to the house, and I think he's looking for Missy, but this is a dope ending. It's just like the in-between and like the connection of it all. Maybe I'm just missing it. I don't think so, because like I went back. I was like, let me just if I'm missing this connection. And like this, so they talk about the gods, they talk about the fae. I'm not quite sure how it all like comes together. And I was like, maybe, first volume. You're right, maybe.
And I'm also hoping they allow.
No.
Would you recommend this, Gab?
That's her no answer.
I want to so bad, because it's like, it has like the bomb interracial couple. Missy, I think she needs an ass open, but at the same time, like, it's just like there's so many good things about it. I want to say yes, but I'm like, if I had to rate this, I would give it a 3 out of 5 and say read at your own risk. Be patient. Wait until volume 2 or 3 or